Sir, may I come in?
Come in.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Take your seat.
Thank you, sir.
Shivendu.
Yes, sir.
You are from Jharkhand.
Yes, sir.
What is Shivendu?
Sir, Shivendu is made up of two words, Shiv and Hindu. So Hindu basically means moon. So my name means Lord Shiva's moon.
Lord Shiva's moon.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Shivendu, you belong to Jharkhand. And also you have done electrical engineering.
Yes.
Why do you want to join civil services?
So, at the end of 30 to 35 years of my professional life, I would definitely want to have feel satisfied both on personal as well as professional front. So, I believe civil services, because of its various diverse opportunities, because of a stable career and good career prospects, to provide an opportunity to touch the lives of the people, decent income, and a good social standing. So, it provides all of the things that I would like to have at the end of my career.
So, I think you had worked.
Yes.
Huh? And you lacked all these things which you have just mentioned, that there was no satisfaction, there was nothing. That is why you left that job. Huh?
So, I would say the decision to leave the job was primarily driven by factors that I mentioned above. Besides, the job was challenging and it was interesting. However, I joined the job because I needed some kind of financial independence for preparing for this examination, and also to explore what kind of job opportunities it was present there.
Okay. You have done your electrical engineering from where?
Sir, IIT Kanpur, sir.
A product of IIT Kanpur. Just wasting your talent here. You should have joined there, you should have remained there, you should have contributed to the technical development of country. Then why this kind of approach? It's a job for generalists. It is not for specialists.
Sir, I believe that bureaucracy should contain a wide pool of talents that should source from different branches, because every discipline of education provides certain kind of specific advantages. Sir, I believe I also get opportunities to work directly in the field of my studies, such as if I work in power sector, with renewable energy, etc. So apart from that, sir, objectivity, rationality, logical decision making, timely completion of work, that becomes a part of an attitude while one studies engineering. So I think I'll get ample opportunities to utilize the skills that I've learned in IIT Kanpur.
Jharkhand I have never visited.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, can you take me to Jharkhand's most important popular tourist destination? The most important popular. Okay.
So, Jharkhand offers wide range of tourism, such as there is opportunity for ecotourism. We have lush rainforest, we have waterfalls, we have small hills and mountains, and there is Sunset Point, which is in the Netarhat. So, these are beautiful tourist destinations. So apart from that, there are several sites for religious tourism, such as Baba Vaidyanath at Devghar. There is Shikharji temple at Parasnath. So there is a temple, Bansidhar temple in the Garhwa district. So apart from that, there is also opportunities for cultural tourism because of several tribal festivals such as Sarhul, such as Karma. So sir, there are a lot of
What is the importance of Parasnath? You have just referred to Parasnath temple. Who is Parasnath?
Sir, Parasnath was the 23rd Tirthankar of the Jain.
23rd. Do you recollect his principles or his teachings?
Yes, sir.
Tell me.
So, sir, the Parasnath gave following teachings, sir. So, one was truth, other was non-violence, and third was, sir, to not to steal, sir.
Third and fourth?
So fourth was added by Mahavira.
Fifth was added by Mahavir.
Sorry,
he gave
sir.
4. Tell me about the fifth.
So fifth, the Mahavira added the concept of Brahmacharya, sir.
Brahmacharya, okay.
Shivendu,
Yes, ma'am.
you are a student of electrical engineering.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me, what are T and D losses?
Sorry, ma'am.
What are T and D losses?
So ma'am, T&D losses stand for transmission and distribution losses. So when power is transmitted from generating station to the local distribution systems, so there are losses such as resistance drop as well as reactive drop in the transmission line. Then there are corona losses, and because of transmission at higher frequency, there is also losses in terms of increased resistance because of skin effect. Ma'am, on the distribution side, there are core losses as well as again copper losses in the transformer. And ma'am, if we extend this on the commercial side, then there is a relatively inefficient system for procurement of the cost which is being consumed by the consumers.
What is the quantum of T&D losses in India?
Ma'am, I believe it has reduced to 18%.
18%? Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. You are a resident of Jharkhand. What problems have Jharkhand residents have faced after the separation?
After the separation of Jharkhand from Bihar, the residents of Jharkhand faced following problems. Ma'am, the economic growth has not been to the potential that we would have expected because of political instability. Ma'am, second is there was lack of an institutional development which required lot of effort. Third, ma'am, the development on the front of tribals has not yet been to the potential that we would have hoped for, ma'am.
Okay. Coming to international relations, tell me what is Malaca dilemma for China?
The Strait of Malacca is one of the choke points in the Indian Ocean, and that is the area where most of the trades for China pass through the sea route. So there is apprehension that if somehow the Strait of Malacca is choked, then their economy would suffer vastly in terms of whether access to the fossil fuels they export or to the kind of goods and services they export, ma'am.
So has China developed any mechanism to overcome this?
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, China is creating a port in Myanmar. And also they are in talks with Thailand to develop the Kraft Isthmus, ma'am.
Okay. Any land route also developed by China?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, China is investing heavily in the One Belt, One Road initiative of the component of the Belt and Road initiative, and because of which it is developing CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which will bypass the sea route and will give them access to the Indian Ocean through Chahabar port. Sorry, to the Gwadar port, ma'am.
Good. So let's take a situation. You are SP of a district. You have been posted in a rural setup, and there are numerous complaints of rapes are coming. Some of them are fake. It's something like fake Me Too movement is going on in that rural setting. How can you identify which one are the genuine complaints and which one are the fake complaints?
Ma'am, as an SP, my first priority would be to empower or create awareness that anybody who is a victim or should be free to come and report the crime. Ma'am, second would be to create an preliminary inquiry by the person who takes who has lodged the FIR. And ma'am, third would be that such cases primarily has to be decided by the court of law, that whether the cases are genuine or fake. Ma'am, on my part, I would basically try to create awareness among the people that if you go on and file for malicious cases, that basically defeats the purpose, and the entire community at large suffers because such an suspicion would be raised whenever a complaint is filed. Normally it should be fair that if someone is victim, she should come forward and lodge her complaint.
Who is your female idol, or who do you admire, a female leader?
Sushma Swaraj, Miss Sushma Swaraj.
Okay.
Shivendu, what is economic recession?
So, economic recession is a downward spiral when the job growth and job growth declines and the economic activity as such suffers. It is a negative GDP growth rate for more than 2 fiscal years.
What is your personal experience? Has recession hit the Indian economy now?
So, Indian economy is not undergoing recession.
Not in the classical definition of recession, but you are in a private sector job. What is your experience? companies are laying off workers or having less recruitments?
So I would say the companies are going through a structural shift where they are focusing more on high-skilled jobs. So at the same time, with different kinds of initiatives such as Make in India, there has been enough focus to create jobs in the labor-intensive sector. So I would say it would not be right to say that we are going through economic recession.
I know that government attempts are benevolent. Government is trying very hard to create more jobs. But what is the ground situation? Companies are themselves suffering losses and high cost and competitive world market. And they are compelled. Naturally, they are not very happy when they lay off their own workers. But what kind of problems companies are facing and how they are reacting to these problems?
Sir, the primary concern for the companies which earlier used to engage in exports is that there has been slowdown in the global growth prospects. So, second, there is lack of a skilled workforce that goes into the company, and which is why some of the workers are being laid off. Sir, again, there is some of the jobs are seasonal in nature, so laying off should not be treated as a symptom that the economy or the industries as such are facing problems. Sir.
Americans are practicing protectionism. Europeans are also somewhat practicing protectionism. So avenues for Indian technically trained persons in Western economies is reduced in recent years, and that is creating some stress in campus recruitment. But in another way, US protectionism is good for India. What are the benefits of American protectionism for India?
Yes, sir. So first, if the protectionism rises to such a level that the professionals are not free to move to other jurisdictions, so sir, in that case they will be staying inside the country and will either be taking up jobs or will either be starting startups. So again, that benefits the economy as such. So second, with lack of opportunities from the Western world, there is always opportunity for services export in the eastern sides where we have not explored too much. Maybe that is because of the language constraint. So sir, we could work and focus upon that. Sir, we are engaging with China on that front as well to allow them to provide access for our services sector. Yes.
It is said that the axis of world power is shifting gradually away from Atlantic and towards Indian Ocean, but Americans tried to shift it towards Pacific Ocean through their Trans-Pacific Partnership. Why Trump has reversed that policy direction?
So it's the perception of the United States President, Mr. Donald Trump, that the multilateralism or the globalization has begun to hurt their domestic manufacturing companies, as well as is creating a lot of unemployment there. So they are basically focusing on an protectionist as well as a closed approach where they'll be focusing more on the domestic aspect, and that is why Mr. Trump has withdrawn from the Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Okay, nice.
Okay, Shivendu.
Yes, sir.
So you hail from Jharkhand.
Yes, sir.
What is paradox of plenty?
Sir, paradox of plenty in context of Jharkhand means that we have a lot of mineral deposits, which is approximately 40% of the country's reserves. However, the contribution of manufacturing sector in the GDP is not as much as we would have focused on. So the problem because of large availability of natural resources is that the government begins to focus on revenue collection through extraction and mining, and does not focus on development of human skills and strengthening of other institutions, which is problematic in the longer run, sir.
Okay, fine. So can you suggest some ways to eliminate all these things?
Yes, sir. Sir, first would be to focus on the skill and development. So under various initiatives such as Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana. Sir, second would be there was an investment summit called Momentum Jharkhand organized in 2017. So around 200 MOUs were signed to attract investors. So third is that we need to diversify our revenue stream from the manufacturing sector. So on that front, sir, services sector have picked up in Jharkhand quite well.
Okay, and I mean, lastly, you are working as a senior consultant data analytics.
Yes, sir.
What is big data?
So big data has three primary characteristics. One is a large volume of data, second is large variety of data, and third is the high velocity of the data set.
What will happen if this big data that fall into the hand of some anti-social, anti-national element? What could be the negative outcome of it?
Sir, if such kind of data falls into the hand of anti-social elements, it raises widespread problems. So one, it was witnessed through Cambridge Analytica scandal in which the voters were believed to be manipulated to a larger extent. Sir, this compromises on the security, privacy of the individuals, as well as they could be targeted in various ways for any kind of campaign or for even selling of the products. So, sir, we have to ensure that our data, which is either personally sensitive or data which is not of that much security, but still has to be within the sovereign control of the government, and we have to have a legislation which is like a data protection law, which is being proposed that to curb such practices.
Okay. So, and your biodata tell us that electronics hobby project.
Yes, sir.
Electronics that we know, what is spintronics? Have you heard the term spintronics?
Sorry, sir, I'm not aware.
Okay, not an issue. Why tungsten are used in filament in the bulb, electric bulb?
Sir, tungsten. Sir, if tungsten has is a particularly high melting point, and because of which it is able to sustain more heat at higher temperatures.
It has to do with the resistance also?
Sorry, sir, I'm not aware of this aspect.
Okay. What is the biggest environmental threat in your opinion right now?
Sir, the biggest environmental threat would be excessive use of plastic, sir.
Excessive use of plastic?
Yes, sir.
What about climate change?
So that is also one of the concerns, sir.
One of the concerns. Okay. So do you know any ways where we can manage the plastic waste? Can you suggest some?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, the way to go about plastic is to see that as a resource rather than as a waste, sir. So for that we have to start monetizing on the waste plastic, be it through recycling or through use in different kind of materials such as.
And we eliminate plastic altogether? I mean, we can ban it from every sector we are using?
So plastic has a lot many potentials. It is a very cheap and effective packaging material. So unless we have an alternative which is equally cheap and equally easily accessible and producible, sir, I don't think we should go for banning plastic. So we have to have an approach wherein we eliminate some kind of plastic which is hard to manufacture, hard to recycle, and at the same time explore different kind of options, sir. Such as we can have starch bags, we could use wooden cutlery.
What is bioplastic?
Sir, sorry, sir, I'm not aware.
Okay, not an issue, please.
So, Shivendu, India is pursuing a manned mission to space.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you think in a time where poverty levels are high, we are giving out money to farmers, to basically considering something even as basic as a universal income? In such a scenario, do you think India should be pursuing a manned mission to space?
Ma'am, as a country, to stay competitive, to have the knowledge of what kind of technologies that are available, we have to keep diversifying and we have to keep exploring every kind of field. Ma'am, for instance, if compared with the problems of poverty or socio-economic development, space investment in space could take a second priority. But we have to understand that there are so many spin-offs of the technology that is being invested. Ma'am, for example, recently we had access to lithium-ion battery, which was developed by ISRO. Ma'am, second, ISRO has been quite cost-effective. So to take missions under the ambit of ISRO, that does not raise too much of a budgetary constraint as other space explorations by other agencies do, ma'am.
Right. And can you give me some examples in the recent past of judicial overreach?
Ma'am, the decision to ban alcohol along the highways, ma'am.
Okay. Give me one more.
Ma'am, the Prevention of Atrocities, the Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribe Prevention of Atrocities Act, ma'am, the logic behind the legislation would have been best left to the Parliament, ma'am.
Okay. And what do you understand by string of pearls?
Ma'am, a string of pearls is a concept which is used to describe the creation of several naval infrastructure across the Indian Ocean by the Chinese, ma'am. Ma'am, the Chinese have been constructing, have now access to the Chittagong port. Ma'am, they have also access to Hambantota port in Sri Lanka. They had a atoll in Maldives. Then there is Gwadar port in China.
What does it say about India's relations with its neighbors if they are so willing to give up, these are sovereign rights, right?
Yes,
Giving up ports to navies of China. And we've been aggressively pursuing our neighborhood first policy. So how does it stand then that this is happening?
Ma'am, the neighboring countries are sovereign in themselves, so they are free to decide what kind of engagements they want to have with other bilateral countries. Ma'am, most of the countries have expressed their concerns expressed their willingness that such ports will not be used for interest detrimental to the country. Also, there has also been willingness to participate along similar fronts with India itself. So, for instance, ma'am, we have Matala Airport in Sri Lanka to counter the Hambantota port. We are developing Kaladan multimodal in Myanmar.
Right. What is the sex offenders registry?
Ma'am, I'm not completely sure, but I believe it is a register which is maintained to identify the sexual offenders who have.
Is it public?
Sorry, ma'am, I'm not aware of this.
Okay. And why, even after, say, so many years of NPAs being a problem, governments taking several steps, RBI taking several steps, still the problem is persisting? What is the reason behind it?
Ma'am, the major problem is that we had a historical piling up of the NPAs. So with several efforts such as capitalization, etc., we have been able to reduce the NPAs, especially after March to June quarter. Ma'am, the other reason is that the credit offtake has yet not picked up. So the companies are not willing to do not have the avenues to invest further and pay off their debt. Ma'am, the enactment of IBC that is which was to offload the non-performing assets from the banks. Ma'am, the performance on that front has improved significantly, but still a lot has to be done.
Right. So,
Shivendu, we have got civil service conduct rules.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, as a citizen of India, we enjoy fundamental rights to publish or express our opinion, write articles. But under Section 9 of Civil Service Rules, civil servants are prohibited from publishing anything in their name or even in any other person's name, anything that is related to recent policy of government or other actions of government. What is your take? Is it correct or it should be modified?
Sir, I believe the civil servant should ideally be restrained in expressing their opinions on the current policies and programs. Sir, civil servants enjoy a lot of trust in the society with regards to their opinion. So such an opinion, if prejudiced, can be quite detrimental to the society. So, sir, in this context, I would say there is need to restrain from the civil servants from making any public opinions. However, there should be a mechanism, internal mechanism, wherein such concerns about the policies, the merits and demerits of it can be discussed within the organization itself, and eradicate the problems be solved if there are any.
So civil servants should not go to the public, in your opinion?
So, public interface is an important part of civil servants, sir. Sir, criticizing the policies and programs when the civil servants are themselves the member of the state, sir, that basically reflects bad on the part of the state, as well as may erode public trust in the bureaucracy and civil services.
Okay, Shivendu, thank you. Your interview is over.
Thank you, sir.
You may go now.
May I come in, sir?
Yes, come in. Shivendu, what about your feeling? today after this interview session?
So I think it was good enough.
Any negative?
I think I spoke quite a lot on certain answers, sir, for which I should have restrained.
Okay. No problem.
And there were some things that I didn't know.
No problem. Even if you don't know, your knowledge already been tested, so that is not a problem. But this is the unanimous opinion of the board. I am highlighting some important thing. That is, you have got a very good understanding. You are sincere. You have got clarity of thought also. You are a person of vision. That is also very clear there. Optimism was also there. You remained calm and cool, and you have got analytical mind. So, that means you are a blessed person as such. But there is one thing, and you are expected to watch your video.
Okay.
There is some problem with facial movement, or movement of the eyes, or the facial expression.
Okay.
So you can rectify that without sound or with sound. You can watch that. Okay. And that length of tie, it should be.
Sorry.
It should be a bit short. Do you want to have any question? Ask any question?
Yes, sir. Sir, there's one question with regard to dress. Are we allowed to wear a shoe without laces?
Yes, why not? Certainly.
Right.
I was
Generally,
there
it is expected that formal dressing is Oxford shoes for males, and shoe color and belt color should match.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's an ideal form, but nobody is going to watch for these things until and unless you falter on everything else. So they'll start judging you on this. So I don't think so. You need to worry too much about it.
You are a good candidate as such.
Sir, can you also point out what was exactly problematic with the facial expression?
Your eyebrows speak too loud.
Okay.
So just after question is asked, you give an expression. Just after question is asked, something
you
like this.
receive the question in that manner. Okay.
Actually, abrupt movement attracts the attention.
Yeah.
So just watch your video. I think you'll identify yourself.
Okay. Sir, I have appeared for other mock interviews. So one of the feedback was that I'm quite tense during the interview. Was it so today too?
You can be a little more, cheerful. That would help.
But since your reply was too good, that is why we did not observe that. But take care of these things. Okay, thank you, Shivendu.
When is your interview date?
Sir, 20th February, sir.
20th. Just sustain this performance.
Take care. All the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.